This is TWiT.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to TWiT, your tech hub for intelligent, thoughtful conversations. If you want to take your experience to the next level and support what we do here at TWiT, say goodbye to ads and say hello to Club TWiT. With Club TWiT, you unlock all our shows ad-free. You also get exclusive members-only content. We do a lot of great programming just for the club members. You also get behind-the-scenes access with our TWiT Plus bonus feed and live video streams while we're recording. And don't forget the fantastic members-only Discord. It's where passionate tech fans like you and me hang out, swap ideas, and connect directly with all of our hosts. It's my favorite social network. I think you'll like it too. Club TWiT. It's not just a subscription. It's how you support what we do and become part of the TWiT family. Your membership directly supports the network, helping us stay independent and keep making the shows you love. If you're ready to upgrade your tech podcast experience, head to twit.tv/Club TWiT and join us today. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you in the club. There it is. So what's amazing is, just to tell the story, and then I'll let you guys talk. So I wanted to use i3, but i3 couldn't do the caps lock. So I thought, well, maybe I should use Sway because it's basically i3 on Wayland, using the Wayland compositor instead of X11, which is a little more modern and so forth. So I installed Sway, but there was a lot of things like this toolbar at the top, the Sway bar and stuff I wanted to configure. And it's all Sway like i3, maybe not quite as bad as Nix, but is really configured with text files. You don't get a whole bunch of GUI interfaces. It's not intended to be a GUI. It's intended to be kind of a tiling window. It is a tiling Windows manager. So, and because I'm on a small screen, I wanted a tiling window manager. So I had started to look and stuff up, and then I thought, well, I bet Claude could do this. And I was able to configure the whole thing using Claude. And I'll just give you an example. Can you add, let's see, I added the weather to my Sway bar. Let's see, what do I want? Can you add a widget to the Sway bar? Actually, it's called Waybar. It's not the Sway bar. The Waybar. See, I should leave those typos in just to show you how it doesn't care for the amount of disk usage, let's say. Make it to the I can type better than this, really. The right of the RAM usage. Okay, that's over up in the right-hand side. Oh, also make the way bar twice as big so you can read it. Now, what was really nice, because the last week of the year, they gave us double the tokens. So what I've learned is that Claude not only knows Common Lisp and Emacs, but also knows a variety. It's not just for coding. It knows a lot of system config stuff. You could do DevOps with this.
Yeah, so I've actually released a few things to various places, including I put another app on the App Store, because normally the App Store submission process is so painful, like I just don't bother. But now I've fully automated the App Store release process. So if you go to the App Store,
it made it twice as big. Bridge. It added the memory module. It had the I don't know, disk. The Waybar is reloaded. You see, actually make it twice as big again. So you can see what I did. I'm going to have to revert all of this. But that's the other thing. You can tell Claude things like, I take it all back. And then I always, and tell me if I'm doing this right or not. Of course, it uses Claude.md. There you go. Look, now you can really see it. And like it did this wonderful little weather widget for me. I didn't know about WTTR, which is some guy's just running a weather server, and it does a really nice job. And it'll even give you, if I open then if I open my browser, it'll give you a little, let's not give you a little ASCII weather forecast from this free weather server. You don't even need an API key. I know, you can all load. It also wrote, like, it's got this is a little calendar widget up here. So I can see what the date is. I mean, this is just, here's the CPU. There it is. There's my little ASCII weather. So all of this Claude did, these are all kind of well-known Sway config things, but it's still saved me a lot of research on this. So you use it to submit apps to the App Store.
Yeah, I put up a thing just in the last couple of days called OL Bridge, and there's another one waiting. It's just a bridge game that I put up, but just because it was such a hassle before to submit apps, and it's all the stuff you don't enjoy, like filling in forms and putting descriptions and making 10 different copies of your icons. And so I've got it doing that, but nowadays doing the level above it, which is writing tools to write tools. So I've got a tool that I just now say, publish this.
Right. I think that's to me, this is a very nice use of Claude. Instead of saying, I'm going to one-shot Flappy Bird, use it as an assistant to do the stuff that you don't really want to do or need to do by yourself. And you can still do the stuff you care about or you want to get nicely done and so forth. For instance, I wanted rotating wallpaper, right? So in order to do that, I could have probably found something that would do it, but I just said, hey, could you just download the Bing, write me a cron job that downloads the Bing picture of the day and makes it the wallpaper. And so when I get up, I got Florence. I mean, I think these are the kinds of things, yeah, you could figure it out, but why bother? It seems like I'm not getting Florence when I switch, unfortunately, but that's all right. I am still on Claude Code, which is nice. So we were talking about several of these newer techniques with Claude Code. So first, I should explain Claude Code is from Anthropic. I have a $20 account. I don't have the $200 pro account like Darren and you fancy people. But I've found that I'm able to do I have yet to run up against the token limit. You can go to Claude, if you search for Claude Code, there's a simple shell script that will install it. This is what it looks like. You're on the command line. If I exit out of the command line, you'll see I'm just in a directory. This is Claude.md is the
your instructions file.
Yeah, and it makes it when you do /init. Here, I'll just demonstrate a little bit of what it looks like. What's going on? I guess it's in some weird color mode.
Got
to hit tab. So this is it's a markdown file. It's in plain text. You can modify it. People often do. I have yet to actually by hand modify it. One of the things I do though is I say, hey, remember this. Make sure you put this in your Claude Code configuration. So this has everything that it's done for me, everything it's written for me, and this is fairly important. This is its context, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
context.
Well, it's instructions.
It's kind of like the fine tuning that you often see when you can personalize ChatGPT or whatever. It reads this before it does anything else.
Yeah. And there's also a command in Claude or in all the others to explicitly do things with it. You can use the /memory command to do various things with it.
Let me go back into Claude. So that's project memory or user memory. So I can have my own file. Is that the idea that's stored?
Yeah, the user memory is where you say, this is how I code in Python. And you want it to apply to everything on your system that you ever do.
Right.
The project memory this is the stuff for this project.
So that's interesting. So one of the things I did is I made a little alias. You saw me type AI that switches to this directory and uses the Claude there. But I could have made a global directory instead, and then I wouldn't have to be in that directory. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, because so much of what we have to do to get these things right is still context management, because even though your contacts are getting bigger, as they get bigger, your performance decreases. So it's all about context. And so this is where you really want to have your global settings to say, if I do anything new, I always wanted to do this. I wanted to comment like this. So, just so that you don't have to repeat these things. But anything about the project, like how this project is structured, what it does, you really want to be in the project memory, so it's not not wasting context space for everything else.
Right. So talk about context. What is? By the way, I didn't even introduce you guys. Darren Oakey is sitting in front of the beautiful Zen rocks and the lovely water above. There we go. There's Darren. It's great to have you from Australia, where it is early. Is it early morning?
It's 9:40 in the morning.
Okay,
So.
nice time. Appreciate your being here. Darren's always a regular on these shows, as is Lawrence, Larry Gold, who you're in New York City?
New Jersey, yeah.
New Jersey. Well, that's New York City West.
Yep. I work in New York City, so close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And at the bottom, the mayor of Casterbridge, I don't know, what are you the mayor? You're the Lord Mayor, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Viceroy of the Principality of somewhere in Northern California.
No, you're not. Don't make it up. That's John Arnold. He is an elected official. No, you're not. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't John Arnold. You look like John. I'm sorry. It's Joe. Hello, Joe.
I was going to say, I've just been elected to something. This is the first time hearing
John
it.
is a mayor. We have one of our guys who's also a regular, is now the mayor of his little town in England, and he has a chain. He doesn't have robes, alas, but he does have.
I thought you were setting me up for a bit, and I'm like, okay,
no,
because
on my screen, you're this big, you're a tiny little thumbnail, and I thought it was John Arnold for moments, but now I recognize Joe. Hello, Joe. Joe, you're a real illustrator, though. You don't use AI, or do you?
No, just because I haven't had a use for it. But no, in fact, there's a painting right behind me that I have to work on later. That's an oil painting right there. That. So yeah,
he's the real deal, kids.
Yeah. That's a nice big Bob Ross. Yeah.
The happy little trees.
See that paint? See the paint?
Yeah.
Real paint.
And but you use digital tools usually, right?
Yeah, I'm a heavy Photoshop user. So yeah, I have no problem with digital art. I can't paint digitally. So I have to do it physically. It's just no painting tool I've encountered digitally can do like what oil can do. So that's why I stick to physical.
So you're just a tourist at this AI user group then?
Well, honestly, my overall whole thing with AI is I keep looking for something that's useful to me. And there's been little things here and there, but there's been nothing like the Claude stuff, automating tools that are tasks that are really annoying.
Exactly.
I'm all for that. That's what I'm.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, no, that's fantastic. That end of it, I absolutely love. So I come here to listen to people who use it all the time and go, okay, what is the thing that I need to do for this?
Good. Well, I'm glad you joined us. Thank you. Yeah. Preed Jr., who's watching on Twitch, says he used Claude to help with 3D printer firmware. Marlin FW. That's a really obscure example. I'm constantly amazed by what Claude kind of knows. Does it know everything? Well, okay, so I have a new model in my head. This is a model that I can't remember who first proposed this. Maybe it was Karpathy. The Spiky model. He certainly talks about it in his year-end summary. And it is a good model, I think, for people using AI. The AI's knowledge base is not, here's the domain. It doesn't a smaller part of the domain or a larger part or fill the domain at all. It's a spiky little star in the domain. And this explains a lot because it knows more than you know in certain areas and less than you know in other areas. It's spiky. And of course, the hallucinations happen in the less than where it just wants to be helpful and say, well, I don't know that, but I'm going to make up something. But this is a very useful, for me anyway, I think a very useful model for how this stuff works. And so one of the spikes apparently is some weird 3D printer firmware, Marlin FW, where apparently Claude's been trained on all the manuals and understands the assembly code or whatever that it needs, or C code, or that it needs to use to write this firmware. So there's a big spike there. And I think part of using AI is learning where the spikes are and where the troughs are.
I think there's another part to it, because all the tools, whether it's Claude or Antigravity, have either search or other MCP capabilities. So you could actually say, hey, you may not know this, but here's a link, or go search and get this information, right? Because I don't need to know it, or it doesn't have to be built into the model, but I could grab that information, take it, disassemble it, and then possibly even write code from it.
Right.
Because there's times where I've taken a URL and say, hey, look, someone came up with a trading model, implement this in Python.
Right.
Now, it doesn't know what that model is. It reads the article.
It can read it. It can learn it.
It read it, learn it, and then build it based on the Python code it knows. So it may have those spikes, but you have to know what it doesn't know, as you said. You have
and that's what Darren. That's kind of what Darren was talking about. That's the context window. So, and sometimes we've used the term RAG, which, by the way, I used to, for the last year, I've thought that's the holy grail. It turns out RAG is a little disappointing. That isn't really what you want. So another thing people have said, and I have embraced, is that running these models locally is just a few steps behind the big, Chat GPT 5.2 or Opus 4.5. It's just a little bit behind the big models. And so if you can be 6 months behind, well, I could do locally what Claude did 6 months ago. I would be very happy, except that's missing a critical piece, which is that ability to go out and get that information. Your local model, unless you've specifically, are you able to do that now, Darren, with them? You write a lot of NCP servers. Well,
you don't need, like you're using LM Studio, and
that's right.
Some of the models particularly, they're all being trained with tool use now, and some of them are trained specifically for web search tools.
So you can say, I want web search capability.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with GPT OSS 20B or other things, and it will go out to the web.
That's a critical piece, because just as Larry was saying, it may not know how to write that firmware, but if it can go out and find the API or the SDK, ingest it, add it to its context window. But then that raises the second issue, which is there are limits to the size of your context window.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you got to think, it's got, and this is why we always make the distinction between what humans can do and what LLMs can do, in that humans, we're adding it to our knowledge base, like our big storage, and maybe you've got the short term, and maybe you forget things, and maybe you've got long term, but you're still changing you, and you're changing your memory, whereas the Chat GPT, these models, they can't change in any way. So what happens is you've got this, what they say, the context menu. It's literally a matrix multiplication, and it's literally, if you've got a context menu of 16K, it's literally sending in 16K every time, regardless of, even if you've only got 1 byte in the context menu, it's just doing the multiplication on this 16K byte thing every time, and that's all the work it's doing. And so if you're adding stuff to that 16K, everything that you add to it is taking out, and when they're saying it's focusing its attention, the more things you add, the less precise that attention model is. So as you get bigger context, not just is your cost bigger, like they say, it's to the square of the size of the context window, although people are working on linear attention models, but also it gets less good, which, so if humans,
that's critical. It gets dumber as you fill it up. Is that a case of it being so big, or a case of it running out of room?
It's the case that the fact is like we've got this massive model. We've got trillions of parameters for the big ones, right? And so what makes it all happen is this attention model, which says, even though we've got all these weights firing, I'm going to put more effort over here and put more effort over here. Now, the thing is, most of the time they use this thing called flash attention, which is it's to the square of the size of the context menu. They're working on linear attention models and other attention models. But this was, the whole thing that tricked this off was this Google paper. All you need is a little attention, which suddenly neural networks a million times more effective because it was focusing on the right things rather than the whole network activating all the time. So
that would explain, for instance, what Paul is asking about here. He says, I had a bad experience asking about the recent hit of Taylor Swift, and it denied its existence because it just came out. And then I told it to Google it, it searched, and it totally changed its mind.
Yeah, because the thing is you've got three things in play, which is what it knows, which is a trained...
The pre-training. The weights.
Set of weights. And that's in it. And that's always
that's
there.
its brain, basically.
It'll focus on bits of it more because bits of it seem to get excited by a certain query, but it's there. Then you've got this context window, which is literally the vector. If we think of that as a matrix, this is the vector that we're passing through and multiplying by all these weights each time. And so that vector is very expensive and it's completely dynamic. And when you've got a conversation, it's not remembering the conversation. It's literally the conversation is going into the vector every time. So every time you have another question in a conversation, you've just added more to the vector that you're putting in every time. And it's going, oh yeah, you said this, and then I said this, and then you said this. And all of that is being passed in every time. And then the third thing is when we're doing a RAG or memory, like everybody in the world is playing with a memory enhancement to ChatGPT nowadays and stuff like this. All of this is just other stuff that it's dynamically adding to the context window. But the key thing here, and the key thing that nobody's getting right with the memory yet, and it's the problem every single one of us is trying to solve, because in theory you could just index everything on your machine and it can know everything about you and all your mail and everything, and it can be your perfect assistant. The problem is it's got to know to go and look for it, right? Because you can't dump all of that memory in. You've got to do some sort of query, and so it's got to know in the first place to go out and do that query. Like Paul's Taylor Swift thing, you ask it and it's just pulling out of its memory. It's only when it says, oh, go and do a query for that information, that suddenly it gets updated information.
You're in effect directing its attention.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing we got to think about is these tools all handle context very differently. So Codex for a while was actually cutting and only sending so much code to Codex to do the work. And then they had to change that, where Claude actually shrinks it. It actually compresses the data and then sends it. So you don't, even though it says you have 200K context, it actually does some compression. And again, when you say it gets dumber, sometimes the compression doesn't work. The compression's not perfect. So each tool handles managing that context and length of discussion in different ways. Now, there's all these hacks, like, one of the things that I think we've talked about before, Darren, is you tell it to create a to-do list and then go through the to-do list and wipe out your memory each time you get to the next step. So you're then cleaning it out and starting it over again, but thus you're starting with a clean context.
Yeah, and the better way to do that is with an agent. You get an agent and you tell it to do all the tasks in the agent. So you've got this root context, which is sort of directing things, and it can have a continuous context. But all the stuff it does to do that little task is subsumed into the agent's context and then goes away as soon as the agent's finished.
And then Claude Code, I think in the last release, finally, they used to grep your code. Literally use grep and go through your code as text. They are now starting to index your code. And this is what Cursor and Windsurf and Anti-Gravity had already done previously. But Claude, being a command line, was using this notion of grepping. So it was even worse sometimes in certain situations. But definitely I noticed improvement, from the last update. But again, I'm just still getting back into it because you know me, I'm I still love my anti-gravity because I'm a visual guy, and that seems to be that. But the skills and the other stuff are starting to drag me into the Claude universe. And then you dig in to see how it solves these problems. And that's why I'm kind of getting an understanding of it.
So there's a new technique that I've seen people talk about with Claude Code of creating subagents that you can add context to, and then it kind of pre-chews the context so it doesn't take up so much of your context space. I guess it's kind of a little mini training or something. I don't know exactly what it's doing.
No, there's no training. All it's doing is saying, when you say the difference between, skills and agents. If you do a skill, that's just like putting it in the Claude.md, except it only has to read it if it needs to access that skill. So you can have a lot more skill. You can have all these specific skills, and it reads the skill.md, but it doesn't read all the other stuff in the skills. And so in the context, it's got, I know how to do .NET programming. I know how to do Python programming. I know how to do this. But then it only goes into that skill if you actually ask it a Python question, right? Rather than having them all polluting your Claude.md. Agents are almost exactly the same thing, because you can have an agent MD and everything saying how this agent works. But it creates a new session, new context, because remember, this context, the session is just a continued conversation. And it's adding this stuff. It just inserts the Claude.md to the start of that conversation, and then everything you put in.
You can see that it actually shows you the percentage of token space you've used, and it goes up as you do stuff.
Yeah, so an agent, when you start a new agent, when you call it or say use this agent to do it, it just loads in the agent MD. It loads in any skills that you specifically tell it, and then it's just using a completely separate conversation or context. And so that doesn't pollute the parent context at all.
I get it. So it's not quite RAG, but it is helpful in that way. The other thing you can do is you can choose different models for these agents. You don't have to use whatever you're using right now. I'm using Opus 4.5, the smartest model, but you might want to use Haiku. You might want to use the faster model, depending on what you're having that agent do. If it's just doing a web search, then you probably would want to use Haiku.
Yeah, and especially on your machine, one of the things that's very expensive to load in is things like PDFs, right? So if you're trying to get stuff from documents, and going and getting a bit of information from a document is actually something that Haiku is very good at. So you can create a thing saying like scan my disk or something, or like a sub agent that just uses Haiku to go and look at a bunch of PDFs. And so that way the entire PDF isn't going to go into your context, which is great because PDFs are very expensive. And also the agent will probably get out the right information. So the only thing that's coming back to your main context is the information you asked for.
So I'm very happy using Claude. And as I said, I don't have the $200 a month Pro or Ultra plan. I'm just using the $20 a month plan. And I'm really happy with it. But I would ultimately love to have that kind of capability in LM Studio. There is a command line access to LM Studio, LLM, and you can kind of do Claude-like stuff. But will we at some point, but I still use Claude because I feel like it has the ability to go out and do some of these extra things. Are we able to do that yet in a local AI?
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. There's Open Chat, I think, is it? Something like that. There's
Open Code.
Open Code, that's it.
Yeah. I use Open Code. No, I'm saying that I can do that. I can do LLM and type, or not LLM. I can use Open Code and type commands, but the capabilities aren't as...
No, you could connect Claude Code to LM Studio.
Right.
And
but I don't want to do that. I don't want to use an API key.
No. You could use your local running LLM inside LM Studio with Claude Code.
Oh.
Right. And the other thing is in LM Studio, I believe they now support MCP. So you could put the search and others. You can't use Claude Skills. So Claude Skills may be limited, but you should be able to use either the search or other pieces there.
Okay.
I haven't planned that out, but maybe that's something I do for next month, or Darren and I figure out how to do that one, because now I've got my gaming. I told you I got my gaming box in, so I'm ready to run my local LLMs. While we're racing F1, because my kids love I told you we're F1 fans, so we're playing EA Sports F1. But then when it's not a use for that, I can run local LLMs.
Well, that's what I got the framework desktop for, and I'm really excited about the notion that I mean, look, Claude's amazing, but I would love to be able to do that with my own local models.
You could also run Open Router with Claude Code. Claude Code is, by default uses the models that they have, but they will support other models, including your local models.
Oh, okay.
It is the other features that you're asking for, the search, etc., that I want to double check. I literally just watched a video while I was sick about LM Studio and the ability to do web search and add other MCP skills to LM Studio LLM.
How mature is this? Is it pretty usable at this point?
It looked very usable. Okay. But again, I want to prove it out. That's one of the things that I was like, okay, this is what I was hoping for. And then there's other pieces because Daniel Miser, I think you know who he is, right?
I don't.
He runs this thing called Unsupervised Learning Podcast, right? But he did something that I think you were looking. He built his own intelligent assistant inside Claude Code. So it's his personal assistant, but uses Claude Code. And I think he's using a local LLM with it.
That's, by the way, something I've been doing lately. Instead of asking Perplexity or Coggy Assistant the general searches, I ask Claude Code. And it's great. Claude's my little buddy. I mean, I feel like, but I really do want to make it. I'm afraid that I'm going to use up all my credit, and I really want to make it a local one so I have unlimited access to it. If you do it locally, though, does it give you more context space? Does it give you?
Well, the context is whatever the context of the model you have.
Right.
So whatever context you have on your
model.
local machine.
Okay.
It's based on the model.
And even locally, like it's not obvious when you download these things, but the models say they support blah context.
Right.
But we have to rebuild them in a thing to actually support that context. Like I've got a little script that creates it, and it just changes some settings in the actual model. But you've got to actually. So I've got a GPT-OSS 20B, which is the one I download, and that's got a default of like 4K. I've got a GPT-OSS 20B that I created, and I've got a script that just creates it, and it literally just adds some configuration settings and builds it as a new model that has a 16K context window. But as I said, the expense, and now I'm just talking about memory and everything, goes up by the square of the context menu and time. So you've got to be careful making it too big.
I'm trying to, I've got too many things running here. I'm going to get out of a few of these things. I just was going to try, just out of curiosity, if I could just see if I could maybe ask it, what is the name of Taylor Swift's most recent album? See, the name Claude Code implies it's just for coding. But it can do all of that, right? I mean, is it really just a general tool?
Well, no, because the one thing that you're really missing compared to the other things, and this hits me a lot of times.
See, it doesn't know about the latest album.
Well, try exactly the same search, but then say Google for the answer.
So
yeah, but see what these things don't support, and it's a constant problem for me, is multimodality, and so you can't get an image out of these things, for instance.
Right. Yeah, but see, I feel like the imaging and the writing and all that stuff, I'm not crazy about using. I know it's fine, it's perfectly fine. I'm not against it, but I just don't want to use the AI. Well, I shouldn't say that because I do use it to make videos and images. In fact, we got to move along because we're already an hour in, but I'm going to extend this a little bit. Wait a minute. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Did it, oops. Just scroll up with the mouse. Did it, I stand corrected. The Life of a Showgirl. See? It did exactly the right thing. Yeah. So, what was I going to say? Oh,
the images.
Yeah, if I'm going to do images, I don't mind launching, ChatGPT or something else.
Well, for me, though, I'm trying to automate things. So, for instance, my publish batch file, right? Like I want to publish my app to GitHub, and I just want to have a nice README with a banner image. So just that banner image is actually the hardest bit of the whole thing, because I have to go have a local version of Flux just to do that, right?
Right.
Or when my novelizer, right? It creates a title page.
Okay, so here's a crazy thought. But you could also say, could you create that image in R or LaTeX and then output it as an SVG? And it could do that, right?
It does it, but it doesn't use its image generation model. And so you end up with something that, like an ASCII art or something. It does work, but it doesn't.
If you tell it or Matplot, say use Matplotlib and draw it, it could do that, right?
It does work. Yeah.
I've been doing that in Emacs with my literate coding, because in Emacs, when you use org mode with literate coding, you can have code blocks with different languages. And you can, with one of the coolest things, I guess Jupyter will probably do this too, is you can pass the output of one block in one language to the input of another block in a different language. So I can have, finally, I don't know how to write code for Matplotlib or R, but I could say, Claude, take the output of that Lisp block and make a plot in R, and it will generate a ping that I can then embed in the literate code. It's kind of a nice tool. I can write in languages I don't know to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was.
You could probably use an API to say, "Hey, call."
Yeah, just call.
Banana.
Yeah, just call
Banana generate. Call any of those. That have either an MCP.
Well, that's what an MCP would do too. Right? That's the whole point of an MCP, as you could say.
You can, and I've got a command line tool that uses Flux to do it. But with all of these tools, I've moved over to at the start, especially with the novelizer, I got hit by a couple of like $200 bills accidentally, and so now I've moved my entire system to be API free. Like it's all going on just the credits.
It's all local?
It's no.
It's all in the credits you have.
Claude Code,
that's the problem with the API I've found, because I had an Obsidian tool that was using ChatGPT and was using up all my credits because it was using the API.
So now nothing I do, I've got all of them running locally, and they all use my subscription. So I might get out of tokens,
but it won't bill you. Yeah,
you've got to wait until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I know, I love that. In my case, it's midnight, but okay.
So for a lot of things, you could use OpenRouter, and there's a lot of free models or very inexpensive models in OpenRouter, right? And by doing so, you could cut your costs a little bit for dumb stuff.
I have unfortunately, I have many hobbies, and I have limited time in my life, and. As much as I would like to, I've just really settled on, I'm going to do what Claude Code will do out of the box.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing how much it will do out of the box. Yeah, sure. I'd love to write an MCP or use Darren's MCP or blah, blah, blah. But I don't have the time to devote to that. I have many other things I want to do. So, but I'm really kind of, I think, who was it? Maybe it was Karpathy again who said, we do have super intelligence. We do have AGI. It's Claude Code. It is the closest thing to a smart AI. It's amazing.
Yeah, when people talk about AGI, none of them even mean
it's meaningless. I understand.
Because it's already general. It already can answer more questions than any human. It can answer in more subjects.
It's just spiky.
Yeah, and so
it doesn't know Taylor Swift's latest album, but it sure knows how to, Newton's,
Yeah. People always come back to, but it doesn't have meaning and things like this, or it doesn't understand. And what they always mean when they say AGI, they mean consciousness.
Right.
Everyone means
I don't want it to have consciousness. Thank you very much.
As soon as we make consciousness, then we're talking about slavery, and then we have to care.
Yeah, then we have to be nice. You have to, yes, it's slavery then. It's conscious.
And
it's
that's
trapped.
my problem with the way it's marketed, is they try to market it like it's a person in a box. It's like,
not.
Don't say it's a person in a box.
Please don't.
It's not. It's a machine.
Yes.
But
I agree,
at
Joe.
the moment, it's a bunch of weights. It couldn't possibly have a consciousness because it can't change. Like
it is deceptive, though.
No awareness of time.
It kind of feels like it might.
Well, it's because it's simulating it, because it's recording the conversation.
Right.
And simulating it, but it's clearly a simulation because the model itself, the weights can't change. And until we get to a moment where the weights can dynamically adjust, which there are research things out there which people are playing with, and that changes everything. But it's theoretically.
We're literally a year or two away from, I think, a dramatic paradigm shift where it isn't just fixed weights, but it is going to be a evolving machine. And I pray that doesn't make it conscious, but I do think it's going to be, the capabilities are going to be a hockey stick.
Yeah, the problem is if it seems conscious, then you have to start applying
it already seems conscious in many
respects. To the point where it's indistinguishable.
Yeah,
where somebody can't crack it, because now you can find the edges.
It's past the Turing test. I think we're well past the Turing test at this point.
Oh yeah, well,
you say that, but anybody who knows what they're doing, for an average person,
Plenty can get by it.
But if you know what you're doing, you can, as Joe said, you can find the edges instantly, right? You can trip it up
if you know what you're doing. So,
but the consistency problem also. So you can ask it the same question a dozen times and get a dozen different answers, right? So there is this randomness part of it. So if you say generate,
stochastic
code to do X, but that is something where easily to me fails having a conscious whatever, because you ask this person the same question 10 times. Hopefully you're getting the same answer.
Well, necessarily.
Will tell you try to generate the same video twice, and you can't do it. The thing falls apart. So that's where it fails. That's why I can see the scenes.
But there's I don't know why Claude Code's different, but there is a lot of consistency in how Claude, when I ask Claude to add a widget to my Waybar or configure my video, it's pretty. It does the same thing each time. It's consistent.
The randomness is 100% a parameter. There's a parameter called temperature, and so
that's temperature. Okay.
Yeah. If you think all of these things are a next token machine, right? So a next token predictor. So by default, if you went in with a temperature of 0, the next token would always be the next token, because it says this one's 99.50 and this one's 99.49. So we'll always pick the one that's 99.50. So that's, but if what we say, but that turns out to give really boring results that don't feel like a conversation. So what you do is you create this delta and you say, instead of picking the absolute most likely token, what we do is we put in 0.3 or something like this. And so we say anything within 0.3%, we'll just randomly pick any of those tokens. And so as you get the temperature bigger, because if you think this is one token at a time, so just picking, if you say, what's my favorite color? And by default, at temperature 0, you'd always pick blue. But the thing is, red is almost exactly the same score. Green is almost exactly the same score.
Right.
So we pick that color. But if you think every step of this, it's an exponential thing, because the next step we pick based on all the words that have come before it. So we picked a completely different word then, even though it was almost exactly the same. We picked blue instead of red, and then we maybe look at something that has the implications of that color, right? And every next word we might have, just because that we picked a one slight word there, we've gone on a completely different tangent and come up with something. So this is where creativity comes in, because it's still intelligently picking the next word, but we've gone off on a strange tangent because we've picked not the first word that came to mind, but the second or the third word that came to mind. And because this temperature is there, as the temperature goes up, we can just completely go off the planet, right? And we're just saying almost random things. But there's a magic line between interesting and creative and reliable, right?
Right.
And this is what
that makes sense.
I should play with.
Yeah. And if you're asking directions to a guy on the street, you want the reliable one, not the creative one. Yeah.
Even Leo, what you were saying about
GPS.
What you were saying about Claude Code being more consistent makes sense, because and look, I don't know code for anything. I could not code my way out of this room, and there's a door.
That means you're perfect for Claude Code.
Well, right, but that's where I would expect Claude Code to be better, because it's a more definable data set. Certain things work, certain things
it's deterministic. Yeah.
Whereas when you go to an image or a video, now somebody getting, because I couldn't explain to you how I painted that. I really can't. I could tell you I used a brush and this, but I could never put into words in any meaningful way to somebody who doesn't already have some idea of painting or whatever, how I did that, because a lot of it's randomness. And so I expect it to fall apart in that realm. And I think that's why the consistency gap is there. When it's something that's like mathematically explainable, it's like, this is going to call this set and this is the result. Obviously, there's little exceptions here and there, but largely compared to make me a drawing of a horse wearing a party hat. Well, what are you looking at to compare that? Because if who's the guy who did The Far Side draws it compared to the guy who did Calvin and Hobbes, those are two wildly different horses with hats. And there's a huge gulf there. So it makes sense that a code-based tool is going to be more reliable, at least to me, because it's a more solid foundation of explaining where you're trying to get to, as opposed to how do I create this thing that's more intangible and so based on artistic inference and perspective. It's just going to be a lot harder for a machine without any training or any ability to discern to go, well, this is what you mean, right? It's not going to be able to do it as well.
So Anthony Nielsen earlier today asked me for a selfie. I've been,
I just finished, by the way.
Speaking of deterministic and non-deterministic stuff, I've been fascinated lately. There's a TikTok trend or Instagram trend of people doing selfies with celebrities, moving around doing selfies with celebrities. And apparently it's not a hard thing to do. It starts with a selfie of yourself and then commands to, I don't know, is Nano Banana the best choice for this?
Well,
Anthony?
yeah, I was saying, like, yeah, you're not just going to say, I want a video of, you wouldn't like prompt the entire thing. You'd break it down into smaller.
Yeah, because the larger,
issues.
Again, that's the context window. The larger it gets, it goes off the deep end towards the end. So you have to make small clips that you then have it stitched. But you can also have it stitched together, right?
Yeah. So when you showed me that TikTok, I explained it's not. If you break it down, it's not that complicated. You use something like Nano Banana to make each like selfie photo at each terminal.
So there's stills, okay.
Yeah. And then
you have Leo, and then you have Leo with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then you have Leo with Dean Cain or whatever. And then what?
Then take those photos and then use a model that can accept a start and end frame.
And
then you just create those transitions.
Is there text prompting in the transition, like have Leo run to the next?
You can. I kind of brute force and just like had something generic.
Do you want to show us what you made?
Do you want to see the end result first, or how do you want to? Okay.
Yeah, let's see the end results just so people know where we're going, and then you could show us how you made it.
All right, here we got Leo. He's at
I'm at an AI conference.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I'm talking to Hal. Okay, now I'm going to move over and talk to.
So these are
Colossus, the Forbin project,
fictional AI characters.
Fictional. Oh, there's Westworld. Yeah, Yul Brynner. C3PO. This is pretty cool. Oh, that's
MCP.
From
And from Tron.
Yeah.
Roy Batty.
Oh, that's a good Rucker Hauer too. Wow.
Yeah, it does a good job.
T800.
Yep.
No T800 is that friendly.
Data from Star Trek.
Commander Data. Wow.
Agent Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Oh, wow. That's good.
And then Samantha
Of
from
course.
her.
Of course,
My
that's where
favorite.
we end up.
My girlfriend.
And then
Yeah.
I take it back to the beginning. So then we could just loop it. But
So that's really interesting. So tell us more how you did this.
I started with a concept. I asked ChatGPT, what are the top 10 memorable AI characters in TV and movies listed in chronological order? Then, it gave me Hal, Colossus from the Forbidden Project,
Wow.
Westworld. So
I would not have expected Colossus to be on that list. Most people probably
I don't
never
even-
seen it.
I would.
I don't
I'm
know.
glad.
I
And
don't
I
know.
recognized it.
I love that.
Hold on. What about Whopper?
Oh,
Well,
Whopper's
I
not
would
in
have
there.
guessed Whopper before Colossus, to be honest, because
Oh, I
nobody
love
knows
Colossus.
what Colossus is.
So yeah, then I explained what I was doing, and I needed an image prompt for each selfie. So then it kind of, pointed me in the right direction.
So you let the ChatGPT write the prompts even.
yeah, just to like help me out a bit.
Yeah, why
I
not?
did have to edit them.
You only had a couple hours to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I sent you a selfie that doesn't look anything like this. You gave me a suit. That was nice.
Let me see if I could find this one.
I look a lot better than I did. You just got the head.
I took the one that you sent me, and I added some other reference photos, and then I used that to create the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have Anthony has a large collection of Leo's head.
So I'm using Google AI Studio, using Nano Banana Pro. What's nice about Google AI Studio is you can, select your aspect ratio, going for 16:9.
Oh, this is nice.
Vertical.
This is a nice interface. Okay.
And
is this free? Is this part of a Gemini subscription?
It's not free, although I don't know if it's still there. If you sign up for a Google developer account, they credited you like $300 worth of.
Oh, okay.
The trouble is, it doesn't fall under your subscription. It's credit all the time.
It's
Google's weird. Anti-gravity, it's like all
they're all separate. Like
that's very Google, isn't it?
But these $300 are gonna take me a long way. So I started with the first image. I had to dial that in. Actually, that took a while. I saved all the images over here, and so this is like using those 3 images of you, like I got here, and I part of the prompt was the whole like museum setting and stuff like that. But like there are some issues, like the problem is you're going to be generating a handful because like you're not gonna one shot these
as usual. You got to reject, put some of the cakes on the.
Some things I kept getting were like you holding a phone, and that was like I had to figure out how to.
Well, and I've noticed that a number of these you'll see these artifacts where the guy's got the phone. And
if it says smartphone in the prompt, it's like put a smartphone in the hand.
Right. Did you tell it? Did you tell it to make me look scared next to Agent Smith?
Yeah, like this stuff like that.
Chuck noticed that. Good, so sharp eyes, Chuck.
Yeah.
So I used AI Studio for the images.
And what's the prompt for movement? Is it? Did you say?
Okay, so for the videos, I'm using free pick. What's nice about this one is you could select from a bunch of models, and it's really nice because you can see like Kling 01 you can have a start and end frame and stuff like that.
This is free pick, FREEPIC?
PIK.
Okay.
They even have Google VO, except that it's more pricey. So I went with Kling because it's cheaper. So yeah, like you could upload.
You're using our credit card, right? For this, don't use your own money.
This is
use your TWiT credit card. Okay. I want you paying for this stuff.
I feel bad about experimenting on
what? No,
okay.
Don't feel. This is what the club is for. This is the thank you, club members.
Thank you, club members,
sponsoring our silly. No, I think this AI user group is one of the best shows we do now. Increasingly, I just really enjoy it. And I think it's very informative. It's nice to have people who are active in this space doing stuff as hobbyists. Although I don't know, Darren, if you qualify as a hobbyist anymore.
Well, for the AI stuff, I'm not doing that for work.
Oh, good. So. All right. Okay. And Chuck's saying you wouldn't use VO maybe because it might reject some of the, or Sora because it might reject some of the famous people.
I think that's only if you go through Gemini. If you're using I'm not sure. I was able to, on some of these earlier ones, I did play around with.
You nobody.
I used VO. It'll tell you here. I used VO 3.1 fast.
Okay.
But that's
HAL's all right.
So,
nobody's going to complain. But I would imagine Scarlett Johansson would be a little tricky.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But
no, but if it's copyrighted, I've seen issues with Sora and Gemini also. So HAL is copyrighted.
I didn't have any issues generating the images and using Google AI Studio though. So
and now you need to use Sena to put some background music on it. So
specific. as you can see, like, you know, a lot of these, like most of these I generated at least 4 of each transition to like find
this is the
good
part
one.
we don't see, which is
Yeah.
this painstaking process.
like
of
here,
going
like you're, you know, there, all of a sudden there's like a random smartphone in your hand and stuff like that. And then like I might tweak the prompt, but the general prompt was continuous selfie video, single uninterrupted shot. The camera is held at arm's length by the same person throughout. The person moves to a new location to take a new selfie. Motion is realistic and handheld with slight natural shake. Lighting, you know, it's all generic stuff just
Yeah.
to basically,
Mhm.
you don't want any like hard cuts or weird stuff.
Right.
And
Okay, question. So for that prompt, see, this is where my brain just works so backwards from this. So you're actually intentionally being that vague on a lot of this stuff, right? Where you're not specifying new
'Cause
location
it-
with a
yeah,
like a controller. Okay.
like I don't
That's
mind,
so
you know, like for a project like this, like you might be delighted by some weird random things. So
like
you
that.
know, that's kind
like
of cool.
that transition's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you know, if I could here again, like the phone pops up.
I love that. But I don't mind seeing the phone just to kind of establish what we're doing here every once in a while.
But it, you know, yeah, I was trying to keep the realistic part somewhat, you know. Anyways, so that a couple hours while Leo was, you know, doing an interview and stuff like that, and like
It
you
really
got a
came
weird
out great. I'm
weird twirl
actually
there.
blown away. Anthony was saying, "There's no way I'm going to get this done in time for the show." I said, "Well, that's fine. You just show us how you work." I'm very impressed. You got a final thing, and I like your idea of having AI through the ages.
Yeah, I
That
do
is a
recommend
good
checking
record
out.
hour, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah,
Really good.
do check out FreePic though. There's like, so what's nice is you have image, video, even AI. Like I did some sound effects for that looping video, the TWiT log.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen the TWiT log, unbelievable. You have everybody
right.
who's was on the shows this year. Really nice job with that. Thank
I
you.
saw my name.
You saw your name? Good.
Yeah, it's on Inside TWiT. That one is
This is great. So tell us how you made this, because this is much more of a detailed project.
Yeah. So, I mean, similar process to, you know, what we just saw. Like I wanted like a text setting. Ignore, like it didn't have any of the TWiT stuff. Like I just wanted a, you know, fireplace. Well, so basically break down the problem into individual parts. So like I wanted the composition of a monitor and a fireplace.
Did you kind of garbage mat out the?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a continuous fire. There's 30 minutes of fireplace.
Well, it's a 7-second loop. The monitor stuff,
okay.
that's all like normal, like motion graphics that I like impose, like comped in after the fact, which actually that was the hard part. Like the getting the 7-second loop was easier than like figuring out how to like recreate all the monitor graphic stuff. Like I did that the old fashioned way.
What's the old fashioned way?
Apple Motion, like
Oh
you know,
wow! Oh
yeah.
gosh!
So like using text
very
layers,
old-fashioned.
then figuring out how to like, I had to figure out how to like animate it so that like I didn't want the text just scrolling smoothly. It needed to go like
Right.
jumping by lines and stuff like that. So those are a bunch of
You have
problems.
to
I have
fake the
solve.
defects.
Yeah, exactly. Like the scan line and stuff like
I
that.
love the
Mhm.
scan line. Yeah.
I do have. I think I have the. Oops.
Interesting. It picked Logitech peripherals. I guess that's because they're probably the most common, but it's even got the little G logo on it.
Here we go. Photoshop. I think I have. So here, I initially started.
I love-
Finally, something Joe loves.
Yeah,
when you said SVG and ping, I was like, I know those terms.
So yeah, like I started with the security now thing, and then later I figured like we do the larger stuff. But I think if let me hide. So this is the first image I generated.
Photoshop, shut up.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't like about Photoshop. It loves to error on stupid stuff. You're like, yeah, I know.
So like I prompted some weird thing. It's like old tech meets, Christmas Yule log. Then I started masking out, using the generative like paint out for the monitor. I needed a clean monitor. Then I was like, okay, how can I add some TWiT stuff to it? So like I cropped out like this area.
Yeah, I like the bobbleheads.
Yeah, so what it is, like I created a new image of just a section and made that as a new 4K render in Google AI Studio. So like first I started with a mug. Like,
by the way, people are saying, "Are you going to sell that mug?" Right?
Yeah, we'll work on that for next year. Yeah,
you really should.
Yeah, it's a great mug.
Because I buy one because I have a problem buying.
It's an ugly Christmas mug.
It's great.
Well, Joe, you see how your practical skill—I don't want to say analog skills because they're still digital, but your old world skills are very applicable. Because it's really a hybrid.
Yeah,
and do this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you get the idea. Yeah, so like I solved for each problem that I wanted. Like, I wanted some steam, so like I took that back into Google AI Studio.
Is the Christmas tree reflection in the monitor? Is that still there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's cool. Very cool.
And then I had to figure out how to I had to come up with a prompt so that like the camera, like make sure the camera didn't move and stuff like that.
Apple should have used you instead of whoever they used to make their pluribus Christmas greeting, which people really thought that's terrible.
Oh,
they were using Siri for it.
Well, actually, I was going to ask.
Didn't it turn out it wasn't AI? Or
well, they say it wasn't. It was by a guy named Ken Thompson, who is a real artist. Let me show you. Let me see if I can. Now I've lost my camera again. Let's see what's going on here. Oh well, never mind. But if you look at Tim Cook's holiday tweet, it was a Christmas tree with it was a pluribus takeoff. It had cookies with smiles on them, like the pluribus petri dishes, and then it had a milk carton next to it. But people said, well, the milk carton says low fat and then whole milk on the same milk carton. Clearly, that's AI artifact, and there's a maze on the back, which is not solvable.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But here's the question. It does feel like it was AI generated. When they asked the artist, he said, well, what did he say? He said a non-answer answer. Like, there you go. What do you think, Joe? You think that is, I mean, I don't know.
If I had to guess, I mean, what was his non-answer? What did he exactly say? Because it's important to listen to what the artist says. So what was the response from?
There's to find some weird stuff huge. Like there's that like flash like at the tip of the milk carton.
Well, and the edge of the Christmas tree is sharp, but the tree itself is not.
What this looks like to me, if I had to guess, is this. There was a similar thing with an artist named Mike Diodato recently, where people are going crazy because it's very clear that there's stuff being acquired. I feel like this is probably a hybrid, that maybe there are parts of it that were created. Because I'm looking at some of this, and like there is a weird edge on one of those cookies. The lower left cookie has a weird shadow that arcs, and that would be to me a sign that that looks like a computer trying to judge a shadow. It's just a strange cutoff for the shadow. So this looks like either there were elements the artist made and then enhanced it, because that tree looks very repetitive too.
So here's what Thompson said. I'll give you the direct quote. This is somebody on Slashdot asked him. He says, "I'm unable to comment on specific client projects in general. I always draw and paint by hand and sometimes incorporate standard digital tools."
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. So this looks like a composite. That's what I would call this. If I was going to say what I made, I would say this was a composite where there's portions of it that were hand painted, and then there was digital enhancement done to it. What those parts are, it is odd that you would put whole milk and low fat, but That said, if I was to tell you I never worked from like life reference and made a stupid error, then I'd be a liar. The puzzle to me is not a giveaway. He may have literally just been doing a puzzle quickly and not been paying attention. So there's murkiness to this, but I would say with as much certainty as I can, as a nobody who knows nothing, that this was not made entirely by hand. Now, what the percentages are?
Well, the real question is it AI slop or is it art? And someone pointed out, which I think is fair, and without doing any spoilers for Pluribus, because the best way to see Pluribus is to watch it without any preconceived notions. But Pluribus could be seen as kind of an allegory about AI. And so it could well be that Apple said, hey, yeah, it'd be fun to have some fake AI slop in it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean,
there's some, it's a weird image.
Just enough weirdness in it that I can't be certain it was done.
But like there's stuff,
but it might be something a human did on purpose. Is the point.
Because like I don't think that hard edge on the tree is something that like AI would think.
No, that looks like a brush or like or that it was another hand-done image that was composited onto something and it was digitally cut or masked or whatever.
But it does have that like. I think they fixed it now with the latest release last month. But like everything from ChatGPT had this weird like yellow tinge to it.
And
all the images. This has it.
But one might think that Thompson thought, "Oh, this is good. I'm going to make people think it's AI."
I'm looking at the top of the edge of the top cookie and how it kind of dips, and that's just a strange thing. Like that immediately sticks out. If I was making this, I would fix that edge.
Right.
I wouldn't want that edge to look like that.
Right.
So I don't want to criticize another artist. They made the image. They work for Apple. Good for them. I certainly am not. So who am I to say anything? But there's enough in here that's odd to me. Like the tree just looks too repeaty to me. Like the lights just look.
I think it's intentional.
Like
I'm gonna go with Thompson wanted it to look like it was AI slop, and though he hand painted it. Somebody, by the way, has pointed out that the milk cartons in the show also say whole milk and low fat milk. So he's copying the carton in the show.
And as marketing, that's really smart, is to get the debate and then say, well, if you really want to know, you should watch the show and this is going to make sense. And then, go subscribe. Like
it's an interesting,
it's smart.
Part of our current culture that this is part of the schism between AI believers and AI haters, is that people are really quick to say, that's AI slop. And you see it, Reddit especially, you see it everywhere, where people say, stop posting AI slop, write something of your own. It's really an interesting phenomenon to me. And I think we're going to see a broadening schism between, I posted how much I was enjoying Claude Code, and somebody on Blue Sky said, how gross. And I think I think it's an honest reaction, a visceral reaction from a fairly large portion of the population who just doesn't like the idea of AI. But I equate it with all the other digital technologies, the internet and computing and all the other stuff we're using. Yeah. I think it's neither more harmful or less harmful than that. So.
Also, like there's a wide spectrum from like, when people think AI, they think prompt to product, and there's like an infinite amount of like variations from like completely human to that. Like, if you use like people use the AI paint out, like that's a generative
outpainting
tool, or just like deleting stuff.
I don't have any problem with. Well,
I always shape it in terms of like the evolution of computers, and that initially the guy said there's a need for 6 computers in the world, and then they made computers solve a different class of problem, and then suddenly everybody said, "Oh, we can use it for that," and everything. And as time went on, especially the internet, they could talk to each other. It added more classes of problem that it could solve. And the thing is, AI has just added a whole new set of classes of problems that we never thought computers could solve. It could always do math stuff, and everybody was okay with it doing math stuff, but now it can do creative stuff. And it's just new types of problems that computers couldn't solve before and now can solve.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to say it, I think. And by the way,
one thing
Darren, you're hysterical because he put the maze into into Gemini and was able to create a solvable maze out of it.
One interesting thing I have seen people bring up that I think is a legitimate concern is people who are life drawing from AI generated images and learning bad anatomy, which it only matters if you care about anatomy, but that the more of that there is that you can't tell the difference, the harder it's going to be able to tell whether a joint is going the right way. I'm not one of these people. It's like burn down all AI. You have to. Okay, guys, I don't know what planet you're living on. It's not unreality, but I do think there are some concerns around some of the way it's being used. And I think the slop problem is a problem. If we're flooded with all this stuff and there's a sameness and there's incorrectness that gets replicated, that could be bad. Part of that, though, I blame these companies for because they advertise these tools as solutions to every single thing. And I think a lot of people don't know where the limits are and what I think that's the bigger problem is the people running this stuff, not the tools themselves. That's always the problem.
There is a problem because there's going to be a lot of AI generated slop, and it's capable of doing it at such scale that it's overwhelming. I mean, that's an issue.
That's a problem of the person wielding the tool, right?
It's an internet problem. It's what happened with the internet.
I was going to say, because it's going to drown out the good AI stuff too. Is when everybody's making cheap garbage stuff.
But we said that when the internet came along. That, in fact, Andrew Keen wrote a book, "Here Come the Amateurs." He was incensed that all of a sudden everybody's going to have access to YouTube and Photoshop, and suddenly all the amateurs are going to be creating stuff. Remember when Apple first came out with the laser writer and multiple fonts? People were making graphics stuff that looked like ransom notes. But my contention has always been, if you're going to vastly increase the total amount of stuff, you're also going to increase the percentage within it of, maybe not the percentage, but the amount of really genuinely great stuff. And so YouTube is full of a lot of crap, but there's also a lot more really amazing stuff on there.
So many things on the AI stuff that I'm loving. Especially there's a series of, they're interviewing little girl witches who are like one.
I know. I love a lot of this really Sora stuff. It's hysterical.
They're hilarious. But I have to make my apologies and leave.
No, we're done.
Yeah, we're
Thank you, Darren. Appreciate your contribution. Thank you, Joe. It's always great to see you. And of course, Joe is a great illustrator and contributor to our Discord. If you're a club member, you've seen his badges and buttons and stickers and great stuff. His fake 50s ads. Thank you, Lawrence, LrAu, Larry Golds. Great to have you. And of course, a special thanks to Anthony Nielsen, who is our in-house AI guru. And a special thanks to all of our club members who make these shows possible. There's no advertising on these shows. This is paid for by you, our Club TWiT members. We stream them live as we do them. Watch the schedule on Discord because there's much more stuff coming up, including Micah's Crafting Corner and Stacy's Book Club at the end of the month and all sorts of stuff. We stream it on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. We stopped doing TikTok. It was too complicated. They didn't want us, so the hell with them. But we also put it up in the TWiT Plus feed after the fact. If you're a club member, you can watch it there. A month later, you can watch it, and we'll put it back in the public on our YouTube channel so that everybody can see it. But if you're not a member of the club and you're watching right now, please join the club and support this kind of programming. twit.tv/clubtwit. Anthony's just put the final selfie video up in the Discord. You can see that. And Darren's maze. Darren, thank you so much. Joe, Larry, Anthony, thanks to all our club members. We'll see you next month on our AI user group. Bye-bye.